The girl was worth billions, yet she insisted on staying in the restaurant as a janitor. She was not doing it for the $1,500 paycheck. She wanted the owner Jess to scold her harshly, because years ago Jess had pursued her for 3 years, and she had called him a desperate loser in front of the whole school. Who would have thought that Jess had completely transformed, and become a top chef admired in the restaurant world? Jess had never heard such a bizarre request before, and quickly had Ella escorted out of the restaurant. Unwilling to give up, Ella had no choice but to follow Jess to the market. She anxiously apologized to Jess, saying she had been young and immature back then, and that now she was willing to give the two of them a chance. But Jess knew that Ella had not truly realized her mistake at all. She had simply been dumped by her wealthy fiancé, and now hoped to date him as a top chef, so her family's restaurant company, which was on the verge of bankruptcy, could win back the approval of its shareholders. Jess had nothing to say to her, and turned to leave. Feeling crushed, Ella went to a bar to drink with her best friend, but when she came out she happened to run into Jess. Ella's legs gave out and she fell into his arms. Seeing how drunk she was, Jess had no choice but to drive her home. When he asked for her address, Ella had already fallen asleep against his shoulder, so Jess could only take her back to his place. Looking at the face that was just as beautiful as it had been 3 years ago, Jess could not help wanting to kiss her, but stopped himself at the last second. The next day Ella woke up in an unfamiliar bed, and felt relieved that her pants were still on. She immediately wanted to put on her shoes and run, when she realized Jess had taken care of her the night before. Ella not only failed to thank him, but even said Jess was obviously still hung up on her, and that his refusal to date her was just a game. Then she even imitated the way Jess used to try to please her back then. Those words hit Jess right where it hurt the most. He stood up angrily, and told Ella that he had been blind back then, but now, he had no interest at all in a selfish woman like her. Then he shoved Ella straight out the door. Realizing she had said the wrong thing, Ella could only stand outside and apologize. She admitted that she had a terrible temper, and hoped Jess would give her a chance to make up for what she had done. But no matter how much she begged, Jess would not open the door. When she thought about how she was about to go bankrupt, and become the laughingstock of everyone, Ella broke down in tears. Hearing the girl sob outside, Jess softened and opened the door. Ella had been leaning against it and lost her balance, falling into his arms once again. Looking into the girl's tearful eyes, Jess could only say that he accepted Ella's apology, and was willing to help her save the company. But Ella had to agree to his terms. For the next few months, Ella would work as Jess' personal assistant, not only helping at the restaurant, but also helping Jess with chores at home. Ella, who knew nothing about working life, immediately agreed to everything. But on her very first day of work she was 3 hours late. Not only did her car break down on the way, she was also soaked to the bone. Jess stared at his watch with a dark expression. Ella hurried over, and said her car had broken down on the road, but Jess had no interest in hearing her explanation. Afraid that he might cancel their agreement, Ella quickly stepped in to help. But Ella had never set foot in a kitchen before, so she naturally turned the back kitchen into a mess. She not only knocked over the roast chicken meant for customers, but also stepped on black truffles worth tens of thousands. Completely drained, Jess brought her to the front of the restaurant. To keep Ella from causing him any more trouble, he decided to make this pampered young lady sign an agreement, allowing her to work only as a janitor in the restaurant. Ella, who had always been high and mighty, had never suffered such humiliation, but for herself and for her family, she